Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, I have been monitoring that right on my TV screen, and it looks as though we should be clear. So you're all right. People should be going to work tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. All right. So, guys, because a number of the radio stations have given us from 2:30 to 3, so we're going to have to be saying goodbye now. I'm going to thank the radio stations for partnering with us this afternoon to bring across this very important information. The listeners on Kyrie FM, QFM, Vibes Radio, and Lab Radio as well. Also, those on DBS Radio, the nation station. And the guys' final words as we say goodbye.
Okay, my final words to the listening audience is that we have to remember that we are in the hurricane season, and we are just into the second month of the hurricane season. And based on history, I think that the formation of this storm has broken a record in history in terms of being the 5th named storm that early. Today looks like a bright day, but tomorrow is expected to be a different kind of day. And it's a day where you're supposed to exercise extreme caution, make the necessary preparations, as we're expecting moderate to heavy showers, gusty winds with thunderstorm activity, and also rough seas. So we also expected cloudy to overcast conditions. We are monitoring that system and will continue to update the public if there are any changes taking place. So in the meantime, the last word of advice is that it only takes one system, and the hurricane season has just begun.
All right, thank you very much, Marshall and Mandela.
Yes, so we just want to remind the general public that, as Marshall would have said, we are still in hurricane season, so preparations should have already begun. The storm is expected to pass to the south of Dominica, but we do expect some adverse weather effects. So we remind persons or implore persons to exercise caution tomorrow with the rains. As you know, rains, wind, we may have some rock falls and some swollen rivers. So just exercise caution tomorrow on your daily commutes, and listen to the official sources for the credible information.
All right, thank you very much, Mandela Christian. And of course, thank you very much, Marshall Alexander and Fitzroy Pascal, for joining us this afternoon.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this simulcast with the Office of Disaster Management and the Met Office. As we heard, we're expecting to field some bad weather tomorrow as it relates to Tropical Storm Elsa. And we've gotten the advice from the officials. We'd like to thank all the listeners on Kyrie FM and Vibes Radio, QFM, and Lab Radio for joining us this afternoon. And we go back to regular programming. DBS Radio, we're heading back to, or I should say, we're going to join the outside broadcast team as we're going to bring to you the Ministry of Education, Office of the Prime Minister's reading competition. That competition is underway, and we're going to that right now.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Gavin Richards. Thank you to Mr. Marshall Alexander and Mr. Pascal for keeping us updated with the development of Tropical Storm Elsa. But we are here once again live at the Alliance Française to bring you day one, or the first round of the DBS Radio Ministry of Education National Reading Competition. That is the first of the two semi-final rounds. And again, due to inclement weather, we would have had to postpone the first scheduled for yesterday. We will, of course, make an announcement as to when that round will be taking place. Nonetheless, we are happy that we could be here with you once again this afternoon. Our students are ready, prepared, I must say, for this round as we continue on our quest for the best reader. And so we will go straight into our program here this afternoon. So I will take this opportunity to call on two students from the convent Preparatory School to do the first stanza of the national anthem for us. Both go by the name of Amia and Maria. So we ask that you all stand.
I love beauty, I love splendor, I too are so sweet and fair. All must surely gaze in wonder, I that is so rich and rare. Rivers, valleys, hills and mountains, all these gifts we do exalt. Healthy land, so like a fountain, giving shares love warms the soul.
Please remain standing. Thank you so much, Amia and Shimaria. And now we'll call on Mrs. Jacqueline Burnett to bless this event here this afternoon.
The mood of prayer. As we ask the Holy Spirit to come on each and every one of us here. And for all Catholics, we sign ourselves in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Oh, Father, we truly believe you are here in our presence. You say when there's two or more in your midst in prayer, you are surely here with us. And so, Father, we ask you to send your Holy Spirit on all the children here who are going to read this afternoon. Bless them, O Father. Give them the ability to read fluently, to read every word that is there, and to be able to read properly, and that the judges may give a fair and just results. We ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. As we say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Burnett. Please remain standing. Remember, we are reading for Felix, and so we'll take a short moment to remember him as we take a moment of silence. Thank you so much. Please be seated. And so we will now call on the... All right, it seems that we are having a little bit of an interruption here due to a sudden shower. So we're just making the necessary adjustments. However, our judges that will be tasked with this afternoon's competition. If you are in the audience, from your right, we have Mr. Prince Saint-Jean, who is a librarian. Also, he works at the National Documentation Center. In the center stage, we have Miss Cleo Coffey. Also, our lead judge here this afternoon, Miss Leandra Laidlow. So give it up for our judges. All right, in just a short while, we'll hear from the coordinator of the DBS radio. Ministry of Education National Reading Competition, of course, headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister. We're just getting things set. We are being interrupted somewhat through a strong breeze that is blowing. So we're just making sure that everything is in place and that it won't be, of course, of any obstruction to the students whenever they are reading. I will take this opportunity for those of you who are here and those of you who are viewing. Let me welcome you. I will go straight into introducing to you who the students are here this afternoon in this first round of the semi-finals. The first reader for this afternoon will be Brittany Lewis from the Convent Preparatory School. Thank you, Miss Lewis. From the St. Martin's Primary School, Cesare Joseph. From the West District SDA Primary, Dijon Charles. From the W.S. Stevens Primary, Ellis Charles. From the Salisbury Primary School, Haley Bedno. From the St. Mary's Primary, Kaylan Matthew. From the Woodfordale Primary, Keziah Andrew. From the Atkinson Primary, Sanjay Peters. And from the St. John's Primary School, Tiara George. So these are the first of the two group of readers for the semi-finalists. These are the semi-finalists, first group. And so we'll now go to Miss Ito to welcome us here this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It's the first of round 3. 2 competitions in this round, and from this round we'll be heading into the finals. Just want to say thank you again to the students who have been participating thus far. Congratulations to you for reaching thus far. Put your hands together for the students. Indeed, this year seems to be an exceptional year. For DBS Radio and, of course, the Ministry of Education. We continue to partner with the Ministry of Education in the venture for promoting the importance of reading. And we also just want to say thank you a big way to the Office of the Prime Minister, again, for stepping forward to seeing the importance of reading and this competition that have always said that, you know, will bring our students very far. This is, again, it's our 50th anniversary. The competition forms part of our 50th anniversary, and as well this year we're doing this in commemoration of the late Felix Henderson, who I assume who would have been here today would be very proud of the students who have reached this round thus far. So again, I would urge the students to give the judges a very hard time today. Take your time and read. It's going to be 3 rounds of competition: the narrative, the news, and sports. Our judges are here this afternoon. Forget everybody who's in the crowd. Forget the parents, the support, the principal. Forget everybody and just read. Tell the story that you're telling us this afternoon. Thank you to the principals, the teachers, parents for the support thus far as we continue to our venture in securing and selecting our top reader for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ito. So we're getting ready for a competition. Again, let me remind you, if you are now tuning in for the first time, the students will be reading in 3 separate rounds. The first round being the narrative round, the second round, the reading of the DBS news, and the third round, the reading of the DBS sports news. So are you ready for competition? I was already. Let's try that again. Are you ready for competition? Yes. That sounds more like it. So we will now call on the first reader for this afternoon from the Convent Preparatory School, Brittany Lewis.
Anansi the spider had 3 sons, and what strange children they were. The first son had an enormous mouth that stretched from ear to ear. The second son had bright eyes as large as saucers. The third son had legs that were so long they looked like stilts. In all my days, I have never seen such ugly and strange-looking children. Not one of them have my incredible good looks, Anansi declared. What are we to call them, wife? One day, their names will come, but until then, I will love our children daily, and I will bring them up to be upright and industrious boys who will be admired by everyone, replied his wife. One day, that is just what they did. The boys grew up to be very upright and very industrious, and they were admired by everyone. Even Anansi found love in his heart for them. One very dark night, there was no moon or no stars in the sky. Anansi found a large ball in the woods. Anansi had never seen such a bright and pretty light, so he wrapped it up in his shirt, buried it close to his home, and covered it in leaves. Such a treasure would buy a farm for one of my sons. But which son? Who should get the bright light? What am I to do? Anansi thought, and he thought, and he thought some more, until his head hurt. I know. I will take them on a journey, and I will see which one of them deserves the light. The next morning, Anansi gathered all his sons together and told them his plan. I must take an important trip to find the answer to a puzzle, and I want you all to come along with me. When do we depart on our journey? Asked the first son. Careful with that mouth of yours. You nearly swallowed me, snapped his father. We'll leave today. What will we see on our journey? Wondered the second son. I am sure you will see everything you need to see with those eyes of yours. How long will the journey take? Asked the third son. As long as it takes, but with those legs, your journey could be shorter than ours. So they set out. After they had traveled for many days, they came to a river. Anansi looked up and down, but there was nothing to take them across that wide river. It's no good, boys, sighed Anansi. We can't go forward, so we have to go back. Pa, give me a chance. Let me see what I can do, piped up the first son. With that, the boy bent down and drank up all the water from the river.
All right, and that was Brittany Lewis from the Convent Preparatory School. So you're listening to the story here of Anansi. Of course, Anansi the spider was brought by enslaved Africans back in the days. Also, you would have heard of the bra rabbit. So the bra rabbit has some familiarity to Anansi. But of course, Anansi is very honest when he says, or you can assume he's honest when he says he's never seen ugly children like that. Not all of us will assume or will agree our children are ugly. We carried them. Of course, we have to love them. appreciate them and nourish them and all of that we have to do to our pretty children. They are both equal no matter what. But we are seeing that, of course, no matter how ugly they might be, and of course only in the eyes of Anansi, I think, but they became quite useful. So we're moving to our second reader from the St. Martin's Primary School, Cesare Joseph.
As soon as they had crossed to the other side, he opened his mouth and let the water out again. Anansi was delighted. Boy, that beat all. I have never seen such a thing in my life. From today, your name will be Drink a River. And from that day, that is what he was called. Day after day, they traveled high and low, over mountain and through forest, until they arrived at the highest mountain on the island. Let me just climb this mountain and see how far away from home we are, said Anansi. Pa, let me go, and I'll see what I can see, volunteered the second son. Go on, but I don't see what there is to hold on to. The second son used his large eyes to see all the cracks and holes in the face of the rock that he could get to the top of the mountain in minutes. Even though we have traveled far, I can see our home very clearly, he called from the top. Kiss my foot, exclaimed Anansi. You mean to tell me that you can see so far with your sharp, bright eyes? Yes, Pa. Then from this day, I will call you Bright Eyes. Pa, I can also see a bear. It has dug up a bright light from beside our house. Oh no, cried Anansi. It will take us days, maybe even weeks to get back home. That bear will have stolen the treasure by then. This has all been for nothing. Pa, let me go ahead. I can get to the bright light before the bear runs off with it, said the third son, and with a leap and a sprint, the boy cleared the hills and mountains as if they were mere garden fences. His father was amazed and delighted. After that performance, I shall call him Leap Over Mountains. When Anansi and his sons returned home, Leap Over Mountains had got the light of the bear and covered it in a blanket. Anansi gathered his sons around him. I have found the answer to my puzzle. It is because of this light that I took you on the journey. I wanted to find out which son most deserved the treasure, but I found out that each of you deserve it equally. I shall throw it into the air, and the one who catches it may keep it. Anansi threw the ball as high as he could. It went up and up and up until it shattered. Half of the ball remained intact, but the other half broke into 1,000,000 pieces of different sizes and shapes to become the stars and the planets. All of Anansi's sons and their children and their children's children share equally in the light of the moon and the stars, which shine so brightly every night.
All right, and that was Cesare Joseph from the St. Martin's Primary School. Remember when we were growing up, they were telling us how the Asian people got their names? Yes, they would say they would just throw something down, and once it make ping, your name will be ping. And if it's Bing Bing, your name will be Bing Bing. Yes, I guess they took that from the story of Anansi. We are reading for Felix. And you would know that Felix initiated this annual reading competition as a remedy for the deficiency in English language. Of course, we have seen several winners of this competition would have excelled not only at the grade 6 national assessment exams, but of course at the CXC level as well, even at college. Just recently we had the first reader or the first winner of this reading competition judge this very competition last week by the name of Rila Benjamin. So this is how far this reading competition can take you once you take reading seriously. So again, we continue to remember the efforts of the late Felix Henderson in this reading competition. So we are moving to our next reader from the West District SDA Primary, Dijon Charles.
Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a spider named Anansi. Anansi's wife was a very good cook, but always Anansi loved to taste the food that others in the village made for themselves and for their families. One day, he stopped by Rabbit's house. Rabbit was his good friend. "There are greens in your pot," cried Anansi excitedly. "They are not quite done," said Rabbit, "but they will be soon. Stay and eat with me." "I would love to, Rabbit, but I have some things to do," Anansi said hurriedly. If he waited at Rabbit's house, Rabbit would certainly give him jobs to do. "I know," said Anansi. "I'll spin a web. I'll tie one end around my leg and one end to your pot. When the greens are done, tug on the web and I'll come running." Rabbit thought that was a great idea. "I smell beans," Anansi sniffed excitedly as he ambled along. "Delicious beans cooking in a pot." "Come eat our beans with us," cried the monkeys. "They are almost done." "I would love to, Father Monkey," said Anansi. And again, Anansi suggested he spin a web, with one end tied around his leg and one end tied to the big bean pot. Father Monkey thought that was a great idea. "I smell sweet potatoes," Anansi sniffed happily as he ambled along. "Sweet potatoes and honey, I do believe." Anansi called his friend home. "My pot is full of sweet potatoes and honey. Come share my food with me." "I would love to," said Anansi. And again, Anansi suggested he spin a web, with one end tied around his leg and one end tied to the sweet potato pot. His friend Hog thought that was a great idea, and so it was done. By the time Anansi arrived at the river, he had one web tied to each of his 8 legs. "I wonder whose pot will be ready first," said Anansi. Just then, Anansi felt a tug at his leg. "Ah!" said Anansi. "That is the web string tied to Rabbit's greens." He felt another and another. Anansi was pulled 3 ways at once. "Oh dear," said Anansi as he felt the 4th web string pull. Just then he felt the fifth web string tug, and the sixth, and the seventh, and the eighth. Anansi was pulled this finer and finer. Anansi was pulled way and that way, as everyone pulled on the web strings at once. His legs were pulled thinner and thinner. Oh my, sighed Anansi. Perhaps that was not such a good idea after all. To this day, Anansi the spider has 8 very thin legs, and he never got any food that day at all.
All right, and that was Dijon Charles from the West District XDA. So I guess that's how we know, based on what we know about the spiders, I guess we can take a little bit of that from Anansi. Felix Henderson also initiated the annual dinner for the less fortunate in the city. Also, he would have organized a hot meal for those who were less fortunate. If you did not know, Felix Henderson started the Creole program on DBS radio called The Experience Creole in December of 1977. He became one of the greatest contributors for the development of the Creole language. He also created a popular Experience Creole character and the name of Niniput. And of course, Felix Henderson would have coined that famous phrase, "Nafternoon." So I'm telling you "nafternoon" now. And "oh my finger." But of course, in the final years, he would have halted on using that phrase, "oh my finger," because he had an accident where he almost lost his finger. So he stopped using that particular phrase. But he kept, of course, saying, "Nafternoon." All right, so we are just about to getting ready for our next reader. Let me just welcome those of you who are tuned in via DBS Radio, of course, the dbcradio.net, the Facebook page of DBS, and the YouTube page as well. And so we're moving now to the W.S. Stevens Primary. We welcome Ellis Charles.
One day, Firefly came to Anansi the spider's house and invited him to go egg hunting. "If you would like to go with me, then come to my house late this evening." Anansi was very excited and agreed to go. When it was dark enough, they went out into the fields. Firefly would open his wings a little, and his light would light up the eggs lying hidden in the grass. Then Anansi would jump forward and yell, "Mine! I saw it first!" and tossed it in his sack. They continued like this for the rest of the evening. Anansi was so rude that he grabbed every single egg, and Firefly didn't get a single one. Soon, Anansi's sack was so full he could barely pull it. Finally, Firefly said, "Goodbye, Anansi," and flew quickly back home. Anansi was left alone in the dark with no idea how to get home. Slowly, he began to fumble his way back to his house. He couldn't see a thing, but finally he bumped into a house. He didn't know whose house it was, so he thought of a trick. "Godfather," he called out. A deep, gruff voice answered back, "Who is that outside of my house?" Anansi called out, "It is your grandson, Anansi." Tiger knew that he had no godsons, and he knew that Anansi had tricked him many times in the past. But Tiger was also clever and said, "Come in, grandson," and shut the door. Tiger had his wife put a big kettle of water on the fire so they could boil the eggs. When they were ready, Tiger and his family started to eat them hungrily.
Anansi, my grandson, would you like some eggs?
Tiger asked. Anansi nervously shook his head. No, thank you, good father. When the eggs were all gone, Tiger put a lobster in the kettle and then covered it in some leftover shells so that it looked like there were more eggs inside. Then he said to Anansi,
You should stay for the night, godson.
During the night, when everyone fell asleep, Anansi crept over to the kettle and reached inside. The lobster pinched him hard and yelled out in a surprise.
Godson, Tiger called out, are you all right?
Anansi answered back, I was bitten by a dog flea. After a few minutes, he tried again to grab an egg and received another pinch.
Godson, are you sure that you are all right?
Anansi answered, Oh, Godfather, these dog's fleas are eating me alive. Tiger sat up and shouted at the top of his voice.
Dog fleas? How dare you accuse us of having dog fleas in this fine house?
Tiger jumped out of bed roaring and started to come after Anansi. Anansi flew out of the bed and raced out of the door.
All right, and that was Elise Charles from the W.S. Stevens Primary School. We are moving on nicely as we continue to read for Felix, for the contribution that Felix has made through the Experience Creole and the Creole development and advertising. Felix Henderson received numerous awards, over 20 as a matter of fact, including the Cicero Award of Honor, the Lime Lifetime Award, the DFC Lifetime Award, the Rosie Douglas Foundation Medal, and the Golden Drum Award. Felix Henderson, other than speaking Creole and of course pushing for the development of the Creole language, did enjoy his time playing sports, especially cricket and basketball. Felix played for the under-19 cricket for Dominica for 2 years, and he also played basketball for Bata Pros and captained the second division Bata Pros team, which won the national competition in that very year. So we're moving to now the Salisbury Primary School. Let's welcome Haley Bedno.
Once upon a time long ago, Anansi and his wife, Eso, visited her family's house. The family was giving a party for Anansi and Eso. Anansi was proud of himself, and he wished to show himself off. Let us dress in our finest clothes, he said to Eso, and she agreed. She loved to wear her pretty dresses and her gaily colored headscarf. Anansi dressed in his finest clothes, and he wore a hat too. I think I look important in this hat, he said to Eso, and she agreed. So off they set to her parents' house. And when they walked in, all the guests turned and smiled and gasped. They were impressed indeed. No one had seen a hat like Anansi's. And so all evening long, he walked around the room, showing off his hat and bragging about how well he was doing. Anansi was proud of his wealth, and he wanted everyone to admire him. But Anansi was also greedy and hungry, and he walked to the table spread with fine food, ready to fill his plate as full as he could. There it was, a feast fit for kings, fowl eggs and fufu, and a pot of rice, baked yams and boiled sweet potatoes and roasted cassava. There were stews of every sort, goat and lamb and fish, and bread and spiced butter and palm wine. Anansi ate and ate until his stomach was so full he couldn't eat another bite. But something was wrong. "Where are the beans?" he whispered to Eso. You see, Anansi loved hot beans more than anything else in the world. "I don't see them," Eso whispered, "but there's plenty of other food to eat, my dear." Anansi ate another helping of fish stew and another yam, and still he craved those nice hot beans. Then he began to wonder. His father-in-law knew he loved hot beans. Why would he forget to serve them? Perhaps he was hiding those beans. "Excuse me," he said to his father-in-law, "but do you mind if I step outside to catch a breath of air?" "Of course not," his father-in-law said, but this was a trick. He had no intention of walking outside. He just wanted to sneak into the kitchen. Off he walked, and sure enough, he caught a whiff of something. "Yes!" he said under his breath. There was the pot of beans boiling on the stove. "He's hiding them from me," Anansi said to himself. "How dare he try to keep me from the beans?" Actually, his mother-in-law had just forgotten to serve them. And so, checking to make sure no one was watching, Anansi found a bag and filled it with spoonful after spoonful of beans. When the bag was full, he placed it on his head and covered it up with his hat.
And that was Haley Bedno from the Salisbury Primary School. How many of you, by the show of hands, understands Creole? Zoatois? Impossible. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. How many of you in the audience understand or even speak Creole? Samokadi? Okay. All right. Of course, it is said that Felix Henderson made the best arts in Dominica. In fact, he wrote a booklet with many different arts. This is a booklet called Basile. I will take this opportunity quickly as we allow our judges to do their thing to run through a few of these arts. One called Juicy, would have heard Juicy, but there's a second one. Meremi, comment Juicy avait sebno pour jaboué pour journée? Il pas qu'à répondre, non? Depuis Remy Piti, c'est comme ça qu'il can boire Juicy avec 7-Up. Quand il lève le bon matin, c'est maman, anta Juicy. Eh bien, maman, anta 7-Up. Il pas qu'à même dit I want, non? C'est maman, anta Juicy. Eh bien, maman, anta 7-Up. Mais tant la fini, temps passé, eh bien, Remy allait l'Angleterre. Eh bien, il était là pour 20 années. We'll continue with this one called Juicy. It's time to call on our next reader here from the St. Mary's Primary, Kaelan Matthew.
One day, Anansi the spider picked some very fat and tasty yams from his garden. He baked them with much care, and they came out smelling quite delicious. He could not wait to sit down and eat them. Just then, there was a knock at his door. It was Turtle, who had been traveling all day and was very tired and hungry. "Hello, Anansi," said Turtle. "I have been walking for so long, and I smell the most delicious yams I ever smelled. Would you be so kind as to share your meal with me?" Anansi could not refuse, as it was the custom in his country to share your meal with visitors at mealtime. But he was not very happy, for Anansi was a little too greedy. and wanted the delicious yams all to himself. So Anansi thought to himself and came up with a scheme. Please do come in, Turtle. I would be honored to have you as my guest this evening. Sit down, have a chair, and help yourself. Turtle came inside and sat down. But just as he reached for a yam, Anansi yelled, Turtle, don't you know better than to come to the table with dirty hands? Turtle looked down at his hands and saw that they were filthy. He had been crawling all day and had not had a chance to clean up. Turtle got up and went to the river to clean his feet. He walked all the way back up to the house, and Anansi had already begun to eat. I didn't want these tasty yams to get cold, so I had to begin, said Anansi. But please, do join me now, Turtle. Turtle sat down again and reached for a yam. But again, Anansi yelled at him. Turtle, did you not hear me before? It is not polite to come to the table with dirty hands. He looked down and saw that his clean hands had turned dirty once more, since he had to crawl on them to get back to the house. So he walked down to the river once more to wash himself off. And when he returned this time, he was careful to walk on the grass so his hands would stay clean. But by the time he sat down at the table, Anansi had finished up the last bit of the tasty yams, and not so much as a morsel was left. Turtle looked at Anansi for a moment and then said, Thank you for sharing your meal with me. If you ever find yourself near my house, please let me return the favor, said Turtle, and then he slowly walked out the door and continued on his way.
All right, and that was Kaelan Matthew from the St. Mary's Primary School. Well, it's two things here. Anansi have tricks, or the turtle sort. It's one of two things. But I guess the smarter man prevailed, and that was Anansi. As we continue here with the story of, not the story, but a piece, an ad here for Juicy from the late Felix Henderson. Mais if you Piscone and take it, say, Reunion 88. Eh bien, remember pas what we had our boutique now? Tout kamawadli, la ite petit, ani plein boutique là. Yo tout kagade pour boire, puis Remy sorti England. Eh bien, Remy allait dès comptoir, il avait 10 mètres boutique là, bay lait, il même que servi kamawadli. Le lait, c'est moun la kagade pour ti bouteille. Mais où ça Remy commence à tirer juicy avec 7-up au fridge là? Quand il a tiré, c'est comme ça il a dit, have a drink in it. Yo dit comme ça, ou pas ça jamais l'oublier juicy avec 7-up. Il dit, il prend yon 7-up en la main gauche, il avec yon juicy en la main droite li. Il dit bout à sous comptoir, il dit, quand ou pas ça l'oublier payer ou c'est comme ça ou pas ça jamais l'oublier 7-up avec juicy. Puis c'est ça, c'est soft drink là qui a changé, qui a toujours ni un bon goût. Is that true? When last you had a 7-up? When last you had a juicy? I see. But I'm sure if it were to come back, you'd have one, right? Fanta? Okay. In the breakable bottles? Right. That's what you're referring to? Yes. All right, so we're moving on to our next reader from the Woodford Hill Primary School, Keziah Andrew.
Anansi the spider knew that he was not wise. He was very clever and could outwit many different people, but he knew that he did not have very much wisdom. This bothered him a great deal, but he did not know what to do about it. Then one day he had a clever thought. If I can get all of the wisdom in the village and put it in a hollow gourd, I will be very wise indeed. In fact, I would be the wisest of all. So he set out to find a suitable gourd and then began his journey to collect the village's wisdom. He went from door to door asking everyone to give some of their wisdom. The people chuckled at poor Anansi, for they knew that of all the creatures, if it was he that needed some wisdom the most. So each put a bit in his gourd and wished him well on his search. Soon Anansi's gourd was overflowing with wisdom. He now needed to find a place to store it. I am certainly the wisest person in the world now, but if I don't find a good hiding place for my wisdom, I may surely lose it. He looked around and spotted a tall tree. Ah, he said to himself, if I could hide my wisdom high in that tree, I would never have to worry about someone stealing it from me. So Anansi set out to climb the towering tree. He first took a cloth band and tied it around his waist. Then he tied the heavy gourd to the front of his belly where it would be safe. As he began to climb, however, the gourd full of wisdom kept getting in his way. He tried and tried, but he could not make progress around it. Soon Anansi's youngest son walked by. "What are you doing, father?" asked the little spider. "I am climbing this tree with my gourd full of wisdom," Anansi replied. "But father," said the son, "wouldn't it be much easier if you tied the gourd behind you instead of in front?" Anansi sat there quietly for a very long time before saying, "Shouldn't you be going home now?" The son skipped down the path, and when he had disappeared, Anansi moved the gourd so that it was behind him and proceeded up the tree without no problems at all. When he had reached the top, he cried out, "I walked all over and collected so much wisdom that I am the wisest person ever, but still my baby son is wiser than me. Take back your wisdom." He lifted the gourd high over his head and spilled its contents into the wind. The wisdom blew far and wide and settled across the land. And this is how wisdom came to the world.
Right, and that was Keziah Andrew from the Woodford Hill Primary School. Don't we all wish it was that easy to get wisdom? Yes. Unfortunately, many folks die with their wisdom without passing it on. Probably you would say some folks are not interested or some, but I'm in so many ways, in so many times that, you know, wisdom die with some people and it's not passed on. We must, of course, make the effort to learn as much as we can, especially from the folks who are older, who are leaving us with all good wisdom. And I'm not speaking about wisdom teeth, because some of us never grow wisdom teeth. You know that, right? Yes, and we know the pain that a wisdom tooth can bring. And it's not that kind of wisdom, like I said. Alright, qui te dit bon après-midi pour tout le monde qui là, qui a joint nous, donc on nous a présenté à demi-finale pour compétition pour lui, organisée par Wadjo DBS. Wadjo DBS qui a célébré 50 années, et ça a fait une activité à célébration 50e anniversaire Wadjo DBS. Pour ça, nous là, en Alliance française, ça va nous continuer la compétition. We are heading now to the Atkinson Primary School. We welcome Sanjay Peters.
One day, a long time ago, Anansi called upon Big Alligator. "I'm out late, brother," Anansi Spider told him, "and I need a place to sleep the night." Alligator says, "All right then, come into my house, stay the night." "I don't want to bother you," says Anansi. "I don't need to sleep in your house. I can sleep in your kitchen." In those days, there was a stone-built kitchen off in the yard. Anansi was thinking about getting by himself into the kitchen outside of Big Alligator's house. "All right, brother," Alligator tells Anansi. "You sleep in the kitchen." Of course, Anansi was up to something. Big Alligator's daughter, Amma, knew she'd been listening behind the door. Amma heard every word between Anansi and her father. At once, Amma went out to catch many scorpions, very carefully, and then she put them in empty kitchen pots in the kitchen. Amma knew that Anansi loves looking in food pots. Big Alligator slid to the kitchen to say good night. "Well then," he says to Anansi. "Then, too," says Anansi. "Sleep well, my brother," Big Alligator tells him. "Well, brother, I will do that," says Anansi. Everything became quiet as everybody went to sleep. Anansi went to bed. He lay down until he thought that everybody was asleep. Then he got up, tiptoed across the floor, and found the pot. He put his hand into a pot, thinking that he was going to get something tasty. And he did find it. He knew which pots were the scorpion pots, and he did not dare to go near those. He ate, and had himself a good time. After he was full, he started hollering and yelling and sucking his hand. Big Alligator hears him and comes crawling fast. "What is the matter?" Big Alligator asked. "Brother, I am eaten alive," yells Anansi. "The fleas here are biting me so bad. Your kitchen is full of fleas. I have to go." And with that, Anansi the trickster scurried out of the kitchen. There. Of course, Anansi knew that there were no fleas, but that there were scorpions. Amma went into the kitchen and saw that all the eggs that were in the other pots were gone. She knew who did it. "Daddy, help!" she cried out. "Anansi has eaten all of our eggs." So Big Alligator ran out after Anansi. Anansi was by the sea, but he could hear Big Alligator coming and shouting at him. At this time, a boatman was sailing by in his boat. Anansi told him, "If you take me across the water, I will give you half of my land." The boatman agreed, and Anansi got in the boat. Big Alligator tried to follow them by going into the water, but he could not catch the boat.
All right, and that was Sanjay Peters from the Atkinson Primary School. Unfortunately, there would be real life Brian Nancy. Not true? People who just live to just trick you. At every given opportunity, they will corner you for every little thing, and they will always find, hey, they know how to shop, eh? They would always find their way out. The thing is, we would have to, of course, teach our children how to not fall for some of those tricks, because some of those tricks even happen at school, you know, that some children know how to trick each other. That's a form of bullying, by the way. It's a form of bullying when you have children tricking each other. And they do it so simply, you know, especially tricking them to get their little recess, you know, to do their little homework for them. All that is bullying. So we do have to, of course, educate our children to avoid this type of trickery, and to tell our children, you know, not to take part in this type of activities. Ça a changé. Anansi, c'était une story, mais nous avons ça fait à présent. Real life story now. So we're just about getting ready for the last reader in this first round. That is the narrative round. Now coming from the St. John's Primary School, we welcome our final reader this round, Tiara George.
Anansi stepped off the cruise ship and took off his party hat and held it in his hands. "Where's the party?" he shouted. Then he listened for the sound of calypso and reggae music. What he heard was silence. Anansi sniffed the air and licked his lips, expecting to smell the scent of tropical foods in the air. But no foods were cooking. "Where's the party?" shouted Anansi. "Where are the bright colors? Where are the happy people? I brought my party hat and want to eat and sing and dance." He had been to this island in the Caribbean many times before and always had a good time. Now the island was quiet. The people were dressed in dark clothing. No singing or music could be heard. No smells of foods were in the air. Usually, the people loved to see Anansi. He sometimes was called Anansi the Spider when he chose to appear in the form of a spider, and sometimes just called Anansi when he appeared as a man. He is known for his quick wit and his fun stories. Right now, the people were pressing their fingers to their lips and telling him to shh. Spider or man, they want him quiet. "What's wrong with everyone?" asked Anansi. "I came to party and you all keep telling me to shush." "It's a snake," the one man finally whispered as he looked with his fear towards the jungle. In the middle of the jungle lives a giant snake, a python. It is larger than any snake we have ever seen. It also ate most of our cows and the pigs. If we cook our island foods, the snake smells it and comes to eat. If we play music or sing and play calypso and reggae, the snake hears and comes to the party. If we dress in our bright colors, in our bright clothes, he sees us and comes to us. We are afraid there will be no parties on the island until the snake is gone. Anansi looked around and saw everyone's head bobbing up and down sadly. "Where is the snake?" shouted Anansi. "I will kill the snake." "Oh no," whispered another. "We already called upon the sky god to save us from the snake. He told us to use our wits, but that we could not kill the python." "I made Python," said the sky god. "I can't unmake him, nor will I kill him. But if anyone can stop him from his murderous ways, I will reward them with a present." "Who is clever enough to destroy the snake?" the villagers asked. "Or who is brave enough or stupid enough to try?" Anansi realized the sky god had promised a present for stopping the snake from killing. He told the villagers to get him a bowl filled with chicken eggs and as a long rope.
All right, and that was a Tiara George from the St. John's Primary School. So we've now come to the end of the first round of competition. We're now going to get ready for the second round, where each reader will be given a news item that we will be going through. I will take this opportunity now to acknowledge our sponsors.
Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, 2021 National Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Own more shares, get more benefits. Let's grow our credit union together. National Bank of Dominica, your partner, your bank. National Cooperative Credit Union, one big family. Jay's Bookstore, your supplier for books, greeting cards and furniture. Carlton Phillips Motor Pool, drive in and get the world of vehicle parts. AP, with its headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, 2021 National Reading Competition, is brought to listeners, compliments the Central Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Own more shares, get more benefits. Let's grow our credit union together. National Bank of Dominica, your partner, your bank. National Cooperative Credit Union, one big family. Jay's Bookstore, your supplier for books, greeting cards and furniture. Carlton Phillips Motor Pool, drive in and get the world of vehicle parts. APP Electrical, we do better. OT Trucking, OT at your fingertips for safer trucking services. Springfield Trading Limited, quality is everything. LaFalle's Lab, quality and confidentiality. Auto Depot Limited, when you can't find it, we've got it. AC Shillingford and Company Limited, spend less, get more. Crispies, tasty. A bank fulfilling our role in the development of a resilient Dominica. West Coast Cooperative Credit Union, most credible choice. Flow Dominica, Fortune Hotel, Ocean Edge, Garaway Enterprises, Jungle Bay Resort, the Grand Bay Cooperative Credit Union, Foxy's Bread Depot, the Sign Man. A business without a sign is a sign of no business. Fine Foods Distributors, the biggest distributors of the biggest brands. On-the-go catering services, they are here to satisfy your cravings. 50th Anniversary Radio DBS and the headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister. In collaboration with the Ministry of Education, we say a big thank you to all our sponsors. We are reading for Felix. Reading makes us smart. DBS Radio, with its headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, 2021 National Reading Competition, is brought to listeners, compliments the Central Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Own more shares, get more benefits. Let's grow our credit union together. National Bank of Dominica, your partner, your bank. National Cooperative Credit Union, one big family. Jay's Bookstore, your supplier for books, greeting cards and furniture. Carlton Phillips Motor Pool, drive in and get the world of vehicle parts. APP Electrical, we do better. OT Trucking, OT at your fingertips for safer trucking services. Springfield Trading Limited, quality is everything. LaFalle's Lab, quality and confidentiality. Auto Depot Limited, when you can't find it, we've got it. AC Shillingford and Company Limited, spend less, get more. Crispies, tasty. A bank fulfilling our role in the development of a resilient Dominica. West Coast Cooperative Credit Union, most credible choice. Flow Dominica, Fortune Hotel, Ocean Edge, Garaway Enterprises, Jungle Bay Resort, the Grand Bay Cooperative Credit Union, Foxy's Bread Depot, the Sign Man. A business without a sign is a sign of no business. Fine Foods Distributors, the biggest distributors of the biggest brands. on-the-go catering services. They are here to satisfy your cravings. 50th Anniversary Radio DBS and the headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, we say a big thank you to all our sponsors. We are reading for Felix. Reading makes us smart.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome back to those of you who were listening via radio. We are ready for the second round of competition, the reading of the DBS News. And so we'll go now across to our readers and call once again Brittany Lewis from the Convent Preparatory School.
DBS News.
Members of the media are now better equipped to help provide psychosocial support in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. This following a one-day workshop which was held in collaboration with the OECS Commission and UNICEF. The workshop was facilitated by consultant psychiatrist Dr. Griffin Benjamin. He says the aim of the workshop was to help members of the media in dealing with people who may have experienced emotional trauma. He says this is strongly needed during and after disaster situations.
All right, and that was Brittany Lewis from the Convent Preparatory School. First, we were hearing about a one-day workshop held in collaboration with the OECS Commission and UNICEF. Many of you would be familiar with UNICEF one way or the other. Of course, did you know that UNICEF was founded back in 1946 by the United Nations General Assembly? Initially, it was founded to provide emergency food and health care for victims of World War II. But that has somehow changed over the years. As a matter of fact, UNICEF now provides humanitarian aid to over 192 countries, including vaccination and, of course, providing food and other amenities to needy countries. So, again, many of you would know we had a UNICEF office. I think we still do. We had an office here in Dominica. I think at some point it was opposite. I think, no, I have it wrong. No, I'm mixing CCF and UNICEF. But yes, we did, of course, seen the benefits of UNICEF right here in Dominica. So we are moving to our second reader, sent from the St. Martin's Primary, Cesare Joseph.
DBS News.
Business institutions have been called on to enforce the various COVID-19 protocols. The call comes from officials at the Ministry of Health. Health Minister Dr. Irvin McIntyre says this includes the wearing of face masks and proper sanitation. Dr. McIntyre says the public should do all in its power to prevent the possibility of a second wave of the COVID-19. He also commended the institutions which have been following the health protocols.
All right, thank you so much, Cesare Joseph from the St. Martin's Primary School. Yes, much needed commendation needs to go to the institution that have been following the health protocols. Even now, when things seem to be a little slacked off, we're still seeing that some businesses are following the protocols, ensuring that you enter with your mask and making sure that you sanitize upon entry. In fact, just day before yesterday, somebody asked me, but we're not getting cold in Dominica again, man. Well, that might be true because we have now gotten to the custom of sanitizing, washing our hands, something we had forgotten for a while. But that is a plus, you can say, that we got from COVID. COVID has put us somewhat back in check when it comes to hygiene, washing our hands and sneezing in our elbows and in our tissues and all of that. Before people was achoo anywhere. And a bus is people sneezing anyhow in their hands and touching everything. But COVID have changed that somewhat. So no, we are not seeing many flu cases, and thank God for that. All right, so we're moving to the West District SDA Primary. We call again Dijon Charles.
DBS News.
The St. Kitts and Nevis authorities have imposed an easy $500 fine on people who fail to wear a mask in public. It comes as efforts continue to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Persons will not be required to wear a mask if they are under the age of 3 or suffer from health conditions. The Twin Island Federation has recorded 17 positive cases of the virus and no deaths. The government is also hopeful it will be in a position to reopen borders in October 2020.
All right, thank you so much, Dijon Charles from the West District SDA Primary. Again, St. Kitts and Nevis, you would have heard in the recent news, making headlines, of course, through the amount of cases that have emerged. That's the amount of COVID cases. At one point, I was happy to see that we in the region, we were managing that so well. When I noticed that St. Kitts and Nevis wasn't going anywhere as far as cases were concerned. And within the last few weeks, you would have seen the sudden rise in COVID cases. As a matter of fact, I think St. Kitts now have 446 confirmed cases of COVID. So we were ahead of St. Kitts. Now they have surpassed us by much more or many more cases. However, we pray that our sister islands can, manage this COVID pandemic. So we are moving now to the W.S. Stevens Primary School. We call again Ellis Charles.
DBS News.
New measures have been put in place for this year's orientation program at the Dominica State College. Officials at the Dominica State College will now meet with new students online. The orientation drills will also be extended to ensure safety of students and staff. President of the Dominica State College, Dr. Peter, says there may also be a decrease in student application this year. Dr. Peter says while the college is doing online learning, it is important to have face-to-face classes.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Ellis Charles from the W.S. Stevens Primary. It is important to have face-to-face classes. That is definitely true. We need to continue having this social interaction. Already, even without COVID, they faouche. So it's good to know that the authorities had taken a decision to ensure that our students could have had the opportunity to continue taking face-to-face classes, even while they were offering classes online. We did not want, of course, our students to stay back because of the COVID situation. But like I said, it's always good to know that they can interact face-to-face, especially with their teachers. I'm not sure if I would have ever been able to do a class online. I'm not sure many of you would not have been able to do it either. We need to have that classroom setting. Many people can only learn in a classroom setting. But I online tala c'est pas pour nous toutes. Not at all. Our judges, I believe, are ready. So we're now calling on our next reader from the Salisbury Primary School, Haley Bedno.
DBS News.
members of the Guyanese cabinet will all be tested for coronavirus. This comes as the country's newly appointed Minister for Foreign Affairs has tested positive for the virus. Guyana's president says all members of his cabinet will work remotely while awaiting their test results. The Foreign Affairs Minister was advised to inform all individuals who he came into contact. They will then work with Guyana's Health Minister to conduct contact tracing and testing. And I am your presenter, Haley Bedno.
Thank you, Haley Bedno, for bringing our presenter here of the DBS News. Yes, that is how much pride it takes, I tell you, to read the DBS News, and we're happy that you can, of course, consider yourself as a presenter. And then speaking of presenter, we must let you know that the winner of the DBS Radio, this competition, will get the opportunity to present the news on DBS. So it's good to see that you're already practicing for that, and that's what it is all about, basically, in presenting the news. That's one of the perks that will come out of this competition. So we're now heading to the St. Mary's Primary. We welcome again Kaelan Matthew.
DBS News.
The Dominica Manufacturers Association will convene its 10th annual general meeting this afternoon. The AGM is being held under the theme Embracing Opportunities for Manufacturing Amidst COVID-19. The highlight of the event is a discussion which will focus on taking advantage of the opportunities presented by COVID-19. Another highlight is the election of a new executive. Outgoing President Severin McKenzie has been at the helm of the organization for the last 5 years.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kaelan Matthew. When I hear about the Dominica Manufacturers Association, I feel good on so many levels to know that we have an association that can represent different manufacturers in Dominica. As a matter of fact, just yesterday we heard from Mr. Robin, who was mentioning, the difference between Dominica's export and import, how the importation is so high as opposed to the exportation. But we now have the opportunity to produce so much more that can, of course, go on the outside market. So knowing that we have an association for manufacturers is a great deal. However, we just have to just take manufacturing of local produce or products much more seriously. But of course, the market is there. We just have to tap into those markets and take advantage of them. All right, so the next reader from the Woodford Hill Primary School is Keziah Andrew.
DBS News.
The Bahamas opposition leader Philip Davis has tested positive for COVID-19. The opposition leader is currently at the hospital. He confirmed this morning that he received a positive test result for the coronavirus. Davis was examined along with an opposition senator. However, no further details were provided. In the last 6 weeks, more than 10,000 Bahamadans have tested positive for COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Ms. Keziah Andrew of the Woodford Hill Primary School. When this COVID-19 hit our shores, I'm sure many of us, our minds were disturbed because we took it very seriously. We saw what it was doing on different islands in different countries. And many of us would have gotten a headache and gone to sleep right away in the fear of not wanting it to be COVID. Not true? if our nose were running from eating too much pepper, we would think it could be COVID. But thankfully, we have done well in managing. And again, like I said, people are now even asking if we're not getting the flu anymore. That's because we have taken these measures quite seriously. And we hope that even after COVID, we can see our people continue to washing their hands and doing all the things that they're doing now. Maybe not wearing the mask, but everything else is very important, because COVID may not be there, but the flu, and we know there were many flu seasons. So we have to try our best to minimize those infections. So let's head now to the Atkinson Primary School. We welcome again Sanjay Peters.
DBS News.
The Dominica State College has entered into a new partnership with the Canadian government. This week, this will send to spread out the programs being offered at the institution. Dominica is set to receive over $1 million to assist with this new initiative. The new program will be administered by Dominica State College. It will also be managed by the center where adolescents learn to love and serve calls.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay Peters, the Atkinson Primary School. And isn't it beautiful to see that we have so many opportunities now to learn? Gone are the days when your parent, your mother or your father, most times your mother must have massa afford. You know, and you would get the opportunity to maybe reach at a certain level because your mom would ask you to now come to work to help provide for the family. Now we have so many opportunities for our students. All over the world, they're getting opportunities to learn. That's all we're asking of them. It's just to learn. Go to school and learn. Before, we had to do all the work in the house first before we go to school. Everything had to be done before we went to school. But now, all we're asking of you is just to go to school and learn. All the work is ours. We accept that. We want all you to do big things, go far. We will do the rest. MBC Jacques on it. But yes, so many opportunities. We're just praying that they take advantage of all of them. So we're now calling on our final reader for this afternoon from the St. John's Primary School, Tiara George.
DBS News.
Trinidad and Tobago had recorded its 600th case of COVID-19. The active cases in the Twin Island Federation now stand at 448. The Trinidad government has had to lock down certain aspects of the economy. It is in order to contain the community spread of COVID-19. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said he has having discussions with the Attorney General on what action to take with respect to use of face mask.
Tiara George from the St. John's Primary School. And now we've come to the end of round 2, the reading of the news. We are gearing up for the third and final round, which is the reading of the DBS Sports News. I will now again go back to our technician in order to take a word
DBS
from our
Radio,
sponsors.
With its headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, 2021 National Reading Competition is brought to listeners, compliments the Central Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Own more shares, get more benefits. Let's grow our credit union together. National Bank of Dominica, your partner, your bank. National Cooperative Credit Union, one big family. Jay's Bookstore, your supplier for books, greeting cards and furniture. Carlton Phillips Motor Pool, drive in and get the world of vehicle parts. APP Electrical, We do better. OT Trucking. OT at your fingertips for safer trucking services. Springfield Trading Limited. Quality is everything. LaFalle's Lab. Quality and confidentiality. Auto Depot Limited. When you can't find it, we've got it. AC Shillingford and Company Limited. Spend less, get more. Crispies. Tasty. A bank fulfilling our role in the development of a resilient Dominica. West Coast Cooperative Credit Union. Most credible choice. Flow Dominica. Fortune Hotel. Ocean Edge. Garaway Enterprises. Jungle Bay Resort. The Grand Bay Cooperative Credit Union. Foxy's Bread Depot. The Sign Man. A business without a sign is a sign of no business. Fine Foods Distributors. The biggest distributors of the biggest brands. On-the-go catering services. They are here to satisfy your cravings. 50th Anniversary Radio DBS. And the headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister. In collaboration with the Ministry of Education, we say a big thank you to all our sponsors. We are reading for Felix. Reading makes us smart. DBS Radio, with its headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, 2021 National Reading Competition, is brought to listeners, compliments the Central Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Own more shares, get more benefits. Let's grow our credit union together. National Bank of Dominica, your partner, your bank. National Cooperative Credit Union, one big family. Jay's Bookstore, your supplier for books, greeting cards and furniture. Carlton Phillips Motor Pool, drive in and get the world of vehicle parts. APP Electrical, we do better. OT Trucking, OT at your fingertips for safer trucking services. Springfield Trading Limited, quality is everything. LaFalle's Lab, quality and confidentiality. Auto Depot Limited, when you can't find it, we've got it. AC Shillingford and Company Limited, spend less, get more. Crispies, tasty. A bank fulfilling our role in the development of a resilient Dominica. West Coast Cooperative Credit Union, most credible choice. Flow Dominica. Fortune Hotel, Ocean Edge, Garaway Enterprises, Jungle Bay Resort, the Grand Bay Cooperative Credit Union, Foxy's Bread Depot, The Sign Man. A business without a sign is a sign of no business. Fine Foods Distributors, the biggest distributors of the biggest brands. On-the-go catering services. They are here to satisfy your cravings. 50th Anniversary Radio DBS, and the headline sponsor, the Office of the Prime Minister. In collaboration with the Ministry of Education, we say a big thank you to all our sponsors. We are reading for Felix. Reading makes us smart.
Welcome back to the third and the final round of the first semi-finals. We are now getting into reading of the DBS news. That's the sports news. So we now call for the final time this afternoon from the Convent Preparatory School, Brittany Lewis.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
The head coach of LA Enterprise Bombers FC believes the work put in by the club is paying off on the field. Bombers have been undefeated since the restart of football after the COVID-19 break. After the slow start, Bombers now have 21 points with 6 wins, 4 losses and 3 draws. They are just 6 points behind league leaders Sagicor South East.
Brittany Lewis from the Convent Primary School Preparatory. This is not one of my favorite words to pronounce, so you'll have to forgive me. Somebody, what did I say? Like I said, it's one of my Makela Lila. Can I just say Convent Prep? Thank you so much. In my sleep, I'll try to say the other word. I know, we all have our difficult words. Don't we all have a difficult word that we cannot pronounce? Yes. Some people, it's difficult to pronounce. The one in the Met Office. What's the word for the Met Office, the longer version? I will not dare say that. I wouldn't dare say that. But I'll just say the Met Office. I'm not sure why. I always thought that we would have ended with 3-syllable words or 4-syllable words. Anything beyond that is too much of a big word, you know. All right, so we are ready for our second reader from the St. Martin's Primary, Cesare Joseph.
West Indies all-rounder,
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
West Indies all-rounder Fabian Allen has been ruled out of the 2020 Caribbean Premier League after missing his flight. Players, staff, and officials were required to arrive in Trinidad 2 weeks before the start of the tournament on August 18th. Allen was retained by St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots in last month's draft. Under Trinidad and Tobago's COVID-19 lockdown rules, only chartered flights are being allowed in the country, meaning Allen will not be replaced in the squad.
Thank you so much. So I had an issue with prep, whatever. Mommy, you'll have to forgive me with, let me try again. Cesare. I have it on point. Wait, Papa. What is it?
Cesare.
I didn't say it right. Cesare. Iza aze. Oza. Cesare. Thank you. Well, that's the final time for this afternoon. I'll practice again a little later. All right, from the West District SDA Primary, we call now on Dijon Charles.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
LA Enterprise Bombers FC edged out Kalibishi Diaspora FC 3-2 last night at the Benjamins Park. Action resumed in the Dominica Football Association Division 1 League after a 4-month suspension. In the other match at the Dubla playing field, Police Sports Club produced a 3-2 win over Exodus FC. The league continues with Kensborough taking on Middleham United at Dublin.
Thank you so much, Dijon Charles from the West District SDA. Now I can understand the reason for the creativity in the names. I can understand that because when I was growing up in one community had maybe 9 Madeleines. Plenty Francis. Every other house maybe had a Francis. How many Johns? How many Margarets? So you can understand now people are being creative with, you know, the names, and everybody want that uniqueness. My child name, nobody have my child name. That is all good, you know. Don't get me wrong. But hélas, let me pass à prononcer ça by. I think I need to pronounce it. No? Or maybe we have to reach a situation where we have to break it down by syllables. Maybe. Never know. But again, like I said, we appreciate the creativity. And I know nowadays everybody looking for a name that has a meaning. Sometimes some of us create our own meaning and we say it's that they say. But because we want to create our own name, we get our own meaning too. All that is good. All that is good. All right, so we are moving to the W.S. Stevens Primary. We call one more time this afternoon, Ellis Charles.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
A number of under-15 cricketers have been selected for the Sports Division 2020 Summer Cricket Clinic. The 26 players have been grouped in two areas to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Training will be held at the Jolly Johns Park in the Kalinago territory and at the Botanic Gardens. 9 players will report to Jolly Johns for training on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Ellis Charles from the W.S. Stevens Primary. Well, now I'm hoping that when this is all said and done, that the students, they're sitting next to each other. We have seen the situation where they are even helping each other with words when they're going through the reading material. And I can hear them every now and then when they think the reader would have made an error, you can hear them trying to correct. Because they're so cool with what's happening, they're trying to correct. But please, I know you're trying to help. Hello? I know you're trying to help the person that is reading, but you have to try your best to be as quiet as you can. Okay? So when the next person is reading, if you think they would have made a mistake, try not to say anything, okay? All right, thank you. And that goes for you in the audience too. All right. So we are ready for our next reader from the Salisbury Primary School, Haley Bedno.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
Minister for Sports, Roseanne Paul, says the Windsor Park Stadium will soon be ready to host international cricket. The stadium was earmarked to host 2 international matches in 2020 between the West Indies and New Zealand. The series was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The sports minister says the electronic scoreboard is on island and is expected to be installed at the stadium soon. And I am your presenter, Haley Bedno.
Thank you, Miss Bedno. Thank you so much. And speaking of that again, let me just touch base with the guys at the DBS News Desk, again led by our news editor, Curtis Matthew. Let me say good afternoon to Leila Langford, Delma Semper, Jaya Pending, and our sports editor, who is responsible, of course, for bringing all these beautiful sports stories to you, live and direct, as it happens. Mr. Gavin Richards, good afternoon to you guys. All right, so we are heading now to the St. Mary's Primary School. We welcome one more time, Kaylin Matthew.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
West Indies T20 captain Kyron Pollard is warning his players against being the laughingstock of the cricket world. West Indies were recently defeated by New Zealand in 3-match T20 internationals. New Zealand secured the series, having won the first game by 5 wickets and the second by 72 runs. Pollard says the players need to step up as preparations continue for the World Cup.
All right, thank you so much, Kaelan Matthew from the St. Mary's Primary. Let me just inform you, for especially those of you listening, again, our first semi-finals should have taken place yesterday, but due to inclement weather, that had to be postponed. We're asking that you remain tuned to find out when this, or to find out the announcement as to when this day will be, where we will have to present the second of the semi-final of this reading competition. Please listen to the announcement. It will be in the news or through our general announcements. I know many times folks will be waiting to get a courtesy call. Nonetheless, we're asking that you listen to the radio. All right, so we are moving on nicely. As a matter of fact, we are in the final round for this afternoon, the reading of the sports news. So we now call from the Woodford Hill Primary School, Keziah Andrew.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
The 2020 National Volleyball League will get underway in early October. The Dominica Amateur Volleyball Association says it is looking forward to getting volleyball underway considering COVID-19. The Volleyball Association will also be staging 2 matches this weekend. On Sunday, there will be action in the male and female categories at the Canefield Hard Courts.
All right, Keziah Andrew from the Woodford Hill Primary School. We're seeing that, again, COVID-19 is dominating the news time and time again, both the news and the sports. As a matter of fact, COVID is dominating everything. There was a gentleman selling on the side of the road, and I was passing by, and I said, hey, when the grapefruit coming now, when are going to get grapefruit, you know? It's more papa is not grapefruit that have COVID. So COVID is infecting everything. I guess everything now would need to be vaccinated, even, you know, our citrus would need to get vaccinated. But of course, I'm sure you know that was a joke. All right, so we're moving now to the Atkinson Primary. Let's welcome a final time this afternoon, Sanjay Peters.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
Belfast Estate Maho Soca Strikers picked up their third win from 4 matches played in the DFA Division 1 League. They secured a 3-1 victory over All Saints at the Dublin playing field on Thursday. The Division 1 League continues this evening with RC Doctors taking on LA Stars at the Dublin playing field from 6. Meantime, the DFA Premier League also continues this evening at the Benjamin's Park.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay Peters from the Atkinson Primary. Let me take this opportunity to say good afternoon to the folks of Atkinson. As a matter of fact, Atkinson is the defending school in this reading competition. The last winner of actually in the 2019 reading competition, it went to the Atkinson Primary, won by Kinelia Barry. So Atkinson, good afternoon to you. Kinelia, good afternoon to you as well. I've noticed that you've gotten a little taller from the last competition. All right, so we're just getting set for our final reader for this afternoon's competition. We welcome from the St. John's Primary School one more time, Tiara George.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
West Indies all-rounder Roston Chase is disappointed he was not selected to the T20 team for the upcoming series against New Zealand. Chase was one of the standout players in the 2020 Hero Caribbean Premier League. He was among the leading run scorers and wicket takers for the St. Lucia Zouks. However, Chase will feature in the West Indies Test team.
All right, and that's Tiara George from the St. John's Primary School. This would mean we have come to the end of competition. You can now take your breaks. And some of you were eager to get up, so you can now get up. We'll allow our judges to retire and do their thing. We'll now take this opportunity to head back to Studio 1, and we'll be back with you with a few remarks and the results.
2021.
Some disaster mitigation measures.
We are in the hurricane season. The Division of Agriculture wants to remind you of the general guidelines for limiting on-farm damage during this time. Farmers, do remember to keep your soils covered, avoid bushfires, use mulching and cover crops. Maintain your drains properly. Watercourses and drains should be cleared of all debris. Avoid planting crops on slopes at this time. Keep your plants and overhanging trees well pruned.
A message brought to you by the Ministry of Blue and Green Economy and Agriculture and National Food Security.
Congratulations to our readers this afternoon. You guys did well. Results in the next few. As we know by now, we have Call of ROTB Reggae on the boardwalk. Reggae Thursdays on DBS. Let's get it poppin'. Richie to the spice. With the words we hear so often, together we stand.
Together we stand, brothers. Together we stand, sisters. And just the least that you done to my brothers, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. The man said the least that you done to my sisters, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. Organize yourself this time, but we need to save mankind. Can't you see that showing signs? Ah, yeah. One man want the world in peace, but it make no sense to me. In the nuclear wars and using strategies. Ah, yeah. Spreading germs like Pharisees. Oh, I wish this war would cease. Together we stand, brothers. Together we stand, sisters. Just a please that you done to my brothers, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. You just said the least that you done to my sisters, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. People get ready. Up your mind to raise your need. So much on the mouth to feed. Together we can accomplish what we need. It's so easy for us to unite. Come my people, let's see the light. Stop the fuss and stop the fight. Your love is there to serve today. Together we stand, brothers. Together we stand, sisters. Just the least that you done to my brothers, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. Just the least that you done to my sisters, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. Oh, na, na.
guys doing okay today? Folks are preparing for what could be the worst. While we have to keep praying and hoping for the best. Here, 4 minutes before 5. Referring to the passage of T.S. Elsa, tropical storm that is. If your name is Elsa, good afternoon to you. All Elsas I know are nice ladies, man. Hold on! Remember last Thursday we dropped an Eddie Murphy alongside Beanie Man? We played a tune called One of These Nights. Something a little slower this time around. Skanking vibes. Eddie Murphy again, listen, I wonder.
Sing it, y'all.
Man, Eddie Murphy, oh Jaja. Yeah, man, that's it, that's right. Eddie Murphy, the same Eddie Murphy. Doing this one here. Multi-talented man, 5 o'clock already. That's our time, brought to you by Dexia. Dexia's pack houses are in the mix. Farmers and other clients can visit them during their week of activities to get advice on your marketing needs. We say congrats to the folks at Dexia on your observance, on your anniversaries, your celebrations. This week we also show the folks of the cooperatives, various cooperatives on island. So with us bubble as usual every Thursday we give you some reggae, you know, underneath me, another mountain. I'm gonna drop the tune in a little bit, but just to update you from last we heard, this tropical wave that had developed into a depression, now tropical storm Elsa, fifth named already for the hurricane season. Quite a number of events, sporting, entertainment, and others had to be postponed or cancelled. And that's to include ROTB, so you could check us next Thursday, God's will. Tropical storm warnings in effect for the southern islands of the windwards. And watch in effect for Grenada. Last we heard, tropical storm watch means tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area within 36 hours. Likewise, tropical warning conditions are expected somewhere within the area within 36 hours. Watch in effect for Grenada and its dependencies, while we have this tropical storm warning in effect for the islands of Barbados, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. We want to reach out to our friends in our sister islands. Hope that you have enough time to prepare for the worst. We pray that you keep safe. Keep the family safe. Do what you have to do to protect yourself, protect life, then property. I want to appeal to the fishermen here on the island to secure your boats. You want to do this tonight. You don't have to wait to see the worst, so you don't want to wait last minute, all right? Don't need to wait till tomorrow when we expect conditions to worsen. So we're not getting the direct hit itself, but going to be affected, all right, some way, somehow, by the passage of Elsa tomorrow. The peak activity, from what we understand, should be between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So between 10 to 3, we should have the peak activities tomorrow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. According to our forecasters earlier, we're expecting the center to pass some 150 miles south of Dominica. All right, so the center should pass some 150 miles south of the island. We'll get some rain, nonetheless. Okay, as Elsa should pass south of the island tomorrow. At 2 p.m., it was located 10.6 degrees north latitude, 52.6 west longitude, or some 670 miles southeast, with wind speeds at 28 miles per hour, maximum sustained winds at 45 miles per hour. All right, keeping safe in these times. It's pandemic times, hurricane season, and so much going on, man. Come on. Enough time to prepare. Folks in areas prone to slides, you know the business already, right? Watch it, watch it. Watch it, watch it. Stay on the side. Walk on the side. Again, Farrell. Let's do this. Fellow broadcaster, by the way, that's the man Richie Farrell, whose dad was part of the gospel group Vessels of Honor. I didn't know that, all right? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? As the son of the man Richardson Farrell of Vessels of Honor, man, the man Richie Farrell. who is a journalist here on the island of Dominica. Also does his music, very talented guy.
You made your people out of the darkness. You fed them all along the way. Yeah, you gave them courage to continue. You promised them no Jara brighter day. Wow, 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 wow. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, man, take us to church, take us to church.
Send your son to be with us. He came and walked across the land, and he took Tumbo out his father, and now you all us in your fear. Repent.
Look at the congregation over there. Look at the congregation. Hear them sing. Come on.
Another path, another journey, but there is never much time. No, another road to travel, another mile, another journey. No, there is never much time. No. Ooh, yeah. Your son to the living, you made him Lord over all. You promise us that we shall rise with him, but only if we've heard his call.
Hey, yo, Durns, lead the choir. When my crew at the Alliance there, I want you guys to sing, join the congregation, join the choir. Let's go.
He promised he would send his spirit, the one who walks in spite of storms. Boy, he is here and we believe him. No need for us to be numb. We will never be alone. Ba, 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 ba. Ooh.
Sing with me. Another journey. Sing.
When there is never much time.
Come on.
Another road to travel. Another mile. Yes. Another journey. No.
Birthday greetings to Johnny, Etienne, Terry, Royan, Victor, Beak celebrating today. God's guidance and protection. God's guidance and protection over us here in Dominica and the fellow islands. Especially those to the south, Martinique, Lucia, Vinci, Vim City, Barbados. We're gonna have some winds, as they say, tropical storm force winds. There will be some flooding. And dangerous seas, all right? No time to go dipping and swimming, and no time for that tomorrow, all right? No time, never much time. From church, let's just talk about love a little bit.
Hey, baby.
From love of God to love of woman. From man to woman, Popcorn sings Garnet Silk. Give him man a trophy for that one.
Newfound love is like a brand new dog.
Pull that up, my youth.
Hey, baby. Love coming at you. So better be prepared.
That's commendable, Popcorn. Let's go.
Newfound love is like a brand new toy. It fills you up. You wanna burst with.
What about when you're in love?
When you're in love, it's a wonderful thing. Your mind's at rest. You wanna try your best. Prepare a place in your heart. That's where it all
your heart. Let me take you to the fountain, we're round about. Wedding bell in my ears, you in my thoughts. Me keep every secret, your Victoria lost. Me see every mistake, me see every flaw. Still me love you same way, love you to the last. Love you, me baby. I'm in love with you. Love you, me baby. I'm in love with you. Love you, me baby. I'm in love with you. Love you, me baby. I'm in love with you. New phone love is like a brand new toy. Fills you up. You wanna burst with joy. When you're in love, it's a wonderful thing. Mind's at rest. You wanna try your best. Prepare a place in your heart. That's where it all starts. A place in your heart. Make love your resort. Prepare a place in your heart. That's where it all starts. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sugar, bigger, flavor, flavor. Oh yeah. Love you, me baby. Love you, me girl. Love you, me baby. Love you, me girl. Love you, me baby. Love you, me girl. Love you, me baby. Oh yeah. One more. For the ladies there, oh yeah. I know the big woman them. Julie now, prepare a place in your heart. Where it all starts.
All right, thank you, Popcorn, the unruly boss, for Garnet Silk's rendition here, or his rendition of Garnet Silk's Place in Your Heart. He calls this one Newfound Love, so pretty much just renamed it Newfound Love. Same vibe, same lyrics, same melody, same tune, you know, in honor here of the man Garnet Silk, the late, one of my favorite artists. I'm sure you know that by now. 14 minutes after 5, more reggae vibes.
Notice, have you ever noticed my eyes a smile? Yeah, eyes a smile. Whoa, 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 whoa. I now make no problem getting me down. No way. Now lose my mind. I now wear no frown. No way. So me blessed, so me not stress. Oh no. Well, if I test, but me not stress. Oh no. Well, I and I only worry about health, 'cause that is my real wealth. Make sure me friends and family are right. Help who me can help. How can I win the war if I don't put up a fight? No, it wouldn't be right if I sit by the side. How did the great men reach their heights? Oh, now make no worries drown me. I know I'll be a blessing surround me. Oh, Jah nah go leave me lonely. So no matter what them a try, my blessings arise. He's always by my side. I nah make no problem get me down. No
patronize the thing, you know. Listen to that voice note there. Listen to the message we send for you. But same way we not stressed. No way. Yeah, man, we're not gonna lose our mind on that. Yes, I notice production, big tune by the man Romain. Nah stress. He say, walk on the DJ media and walk on me charge. Anyway, me day.
During this hurricane season, ensure that you have the following on hand: extra batteries, a flashlight, candles or lamp, matches or lighter in the event of a power outage. Have a portable radio available for regular updates. Don't get caught off guard. Be prepared. Brought to you by Best Price.
Sending good vibes your way
on UFAX, the youngest hour on radio.
We inform,
educate, and entertain all you
every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on DBS.
Youth Vibes, connecting our youth through radio.
We are now in the hurricane season. Fishers and fish vendors are advised to adhere to the following. Listen to the daily weather advisory provided by the Met Office. Do not venture out to sea if a storm is approaching. Fishers and fish vendors are encouraged to store vital documents in waterproof containers or secured locations. Secure sufficient ice for fish storage in the event of a power outage. Remember, the safety of your life and property is our priority. A message brought to you by the Fisheries Division of the Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security.
See the world and let the world see you with the best brands on eyewear from Quartz Optical. Come in today and get free eye exams, free blue block, and up to 20% off frame and lens purchases. Need sunglasses? With any purchase, get up to 80% off your sunglasses. Plus, with Ready Finance, you can shop today and pay $0 for 30 days. Visit us today at Quartz Roseau or call us at 448-7655 or visit us online at www.quartzoptical.com. Quartz Optical, value you can see. Terms and conditions apply.
Since we were walk is so mean, and every jaw drops when she's in those jeans. Alright, I don't exist if I don't have her. The sun doesn't shine, the world doesn't turn.
That's the man Davil, Still My Girl. It's already 25 after 5. We are awaiting the results of this afternoon's reading competition. My goodness, these boys and girls read so well. Future announcers, future broadcasters, and other professionals here on the island. It's 5:25. That time is brought to you by the National Cooperative Credit Union. Burdened by multiple debt payments, a debt consolidation loan can help. NCCU knows about amalgamation. Let's bring you this one from the Crown Prince of Reggae, Dennis Brown.
Honey, you gave new meaning to my life.
Yes, Miguel, you can hear me? No power.
Inseparable.
We are ready. Cesare, as for you. Cesare. Do I have it right, Cesare? But I remember day one you said Cesare.
Right here in my
just this confused.
You'll always stay.
Not Cesare. Cesare. I got it? Malay mo yung kayang dyan mo sa balik sa kayang. So I will. Dr. Labadi.
So much excitement when you are around. There's so much about you that words can't say. Makes me want to love in a special way.
All right, it's back to the Alliance Française for this afternoon's results.
Thank you once again, Dr. Labadi. So yes, we are in with the results. As we continue here on our quest for the best reader for 2021, we are about to present to you the top 5 readers for this afternoon in this first semi-final round. When I call your name, please join me up front. In 5th position with 408 points from the St. Martin's Primary School, mon Dieu, Cesare Joseph. In fourth position with 423 points from the St. Mary's Primary, Kaylin Matthew. In third position with 437 points from the Salisbury Primary School, Haley Bedno. In second position with 440 points from the W.S. Stevens Primary, Ellis Charles. And in first position, our best reader for this afternoon with 441 points from the Convent Prep, Brittany Lewis. So these are our top readers for this afternoon. Again, we'll be selecting the best 10 based on scores to advance to the final round. I know I did things a little unfair this afternoon. So these are our top readers for this afternoon. However, we'll take a few words from our head judge this afternoon, Ms. Lidlow.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, I'd like to thank DBS for the continued collaboration in the reading competition. I must say that you students have a bright future ahead of you because you all can read. And this afternoon, you didn't make our job very easy. It was not very easy. So there were marked improvements in the narrative, how you read the narrative. Some of you fumbled in the long sentences in the narrative. But most of you did well in chunking your words together so that they made sense. We even had characters coming out in the story today, which was very good. All right, so you had the tone, so you could get a little more points for tone and how you read. One good thing that came out this afternoon was that you listened to each other read. So as people listened to each other, they they read a little better. I have a few notes I'm trying to, because just now we won't be giving you any other pointers for you to get those laptops you're supposed to be getting. Now, punctuation means punctuation. When you see an exclamation mark, it means something. A full stop means something. Some of you are making all full stops question mark. I don't know if it's a Dominican thing. Exclamation marks, to exclaim. So you have to be a little louder, not very loud, but you have to be a little louder. When you question, we must hear a question mark. The tone, some of you go very loud, and all of a sudden you realize you're reading, and then you come down so we can hear you. All right, so listen to yourself. I want, as you go ahead in this competition, to listen to yourself read as well. So when you go home, read and listen to yourself. See if you can hear yourself read. See if you can understand what you read. So for example, you're reading, the boy went home. The boy went home. The boy went home. Which one sounds like you're reading properly? So listen to yourself while you read. All in all, you gave us quite a job to do this afternoon. And we're always happy to listen to you read. And I want to thank the other judges as well for doing what we have to do so the kids are happy. And sometimes, even if you figure you have a number, so you came 1, 2, the scores were as close as that. Okay? So you are all very good readers. Every one of you. And your future is very bright once you can read. And this is one of the things we want to tell the schools. Make sure our students are reading, because that is the foundation for success in education. Thank you, and it was a pleasure as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lidlow. Thank you again for those of you whose names were not called. Like Ms. Lidlow said, you all are bright. You all can read. That's the reason why you've gotten this far. However, it is a competition. We know we have to choose some Nobody has to win, but we're just urging you and encouraging you to continue reading. You all are good readers. We love, the way that you bring out the stories here today. We enjoy that. We're just urging you to continue reading. Now I'm below stage. I'm not sure if I was going to do any act. So therefore, it is now time for me to say thank you for all those of you who were tuned in via Facebook, via dbacradio.net, our YouTube, via radio. Thank you all of you who were here in the audience. Merci le pour me dire au revoir.